This video is about finding peace as a single person, living alone after a breakup. I'm going to take you through 3 intentional steps that you can take that will lead you to the peace you seek. Hi, I'm Zara Green, and this is Living Clarity with Zara, where you get information and tools to live with ease, even when it's not easy. Because once you're clear on what to do, why you're doing it, and understand fully who you are as you go through it, it makes every day worth living. If that sounds good to you, then subscribe, like, share, engage, comment, turn on that notification bell, and let's get started. This video was inspired by Kelly Stamps. I'll link the video and her channel below. I absolutely adore this young woman. What she's done with this topic is she's gone through a lot of self-care things, and her way of delivering is very stream of consciousness. And I really like that about her because she's a lot like me. But I encourage you to go and watch Kelly's video, because not only does she deal with the feelings that you go through in the middle of a breakup, she also gives you some tools on how to get out of it too. I am on this video, as inspired by her, gonna really focus on the mindset that I believe you need to have in order to come out of it. The things that I've seen work for others and that absolutely works for me whenever I need to be forwardly focused moving through anything. So here we go. The space between relationships is about building you up so that you can clean up the stuff, so that the baggage is lessened. Because if you don't ask these 3 questions, if you don't go through these 3 things, then inevitably you are going to take this stuff into the next relationship. I call these the 3 necessary R's after a breakup. 1, reflect. You want to reflect on the relationship itself. What just happened? Ask yourself, the intentional question is, what just happened? Not to blame somebody, not to sit in shame, not to become the victim. No, this is not the time to point fingers anywhere. It is to look at the situation itself and seriously ask, what just happened? What kind of choices did I make? What led me here? What was it about the relationship? Where did the breakdown start? Start to reflect on it so that you can see what you did in it, because people like to be able to point the finger at the other in relationships. Or if you know that you did something for its breakdown, first of all, understanding that everybody's always doing their best. That's all the heck you were doing. I don't care if you ended up with bed with 10 people. That was the best you knew. So if the next time you only end up in bed with 7, hell, that's progress. We came here to learn and grow. I ain't telling you to do that. I'm saying we need to recognize where we are so that we can get on a path of purpose, a path of personal growth, a path of expansion, a path of doing better, a path of being able to recognize where those patterns are, so that we can break the patterns, and so that we can do some different stuff, so we can create some new synapses to create some better patterns, and so that we can recognize where the downfall is in our lives, so that we can see those vulnerable places. Because that's why, people talk about manipulators. Folk take advantage of others because people don't recognize their own vulnerabilities. So you want to reflect. Okay? That's number 1. Moving on. Number 2, release. I love that word. Release. A lot of people think that they need to hold on to stuff and don't think they know how to that they can let it go. You just don't know how. You can release anything. You can release anything and anybody. So it's important to release the relationship. Release the person in the relationship. Release all the stuff in the relationship. Remember, we came to expand and grow, right? Now this too will require 3 things. And I talk about these all the time. Y'all have been talking about them for the past 20 years. Every publication, they're in it, okay? Everything I've ever done. You have to give yourself these three things: compassion, forgiveness, acceptance. These are things you have no problem giving to anybody else. But you have to give yourself these three things. Be compassionate with you. Forgive you for whatever that thing was, or whatever the relationship was, or anything that you've done to contribute to the failure of it. And stop even considering it a failure, y'all. I catch myself on words all the time because words carry vibration. And if you consider yourself a failure, it's hard to see a solution or the good in something if you call yourself a failure. So you're not a failure, okay? So compassion, forgiveness, acceptance. Fully accepting who you are, fully accepting what you did, fully accepting that what you did was not, it was the best that you knew, okay? These things are necessary in order to unpack that baggage. And it's your responsibility to unpack your baggage. It's your responsibility not to carry that baggage to the next thing. It is not your responsibility to try and unpack somebody else's baggage. So if you are seeking, people talk about seeking closure. If you ended the relationship and the person is coming back to you saying, but I need closure, no, that's their baggage. It's not your responsibility to unpack that. That's another subject for another day, so I'm not going to get stuck on that. But we each have our responsibilities at the end of relationships. If it's ended, it's done. And I don't believe that you, and Kelly and I agree on this, we don't believe you need to go back. We don't believe you need to be friends. We don't believe that you need to, that's something that you need to cultivate for any reason whatsoever. There's some cultivation that needs to happen, but that's with yourself. It is spending the time between the relationships so that you can cultivate all the goodness that is you, all the goodness that you are, all the things that make you you. This is about you flourishing between the relationships, okay? Do not try to unpack anybody else's baggage, ever. Not the relationship you left, and not anybody who you encounter who's coming to you. You always know when they're still dealing with old stuff. Baby, when you see that old stuff, eventually it's going to bleed on you. Stop excusing people's stuff and thinking that it's your responsibility to take that on. You either give it back to them as soon as you see it. You say, you need to go deal with this, because if you don't go deal with this, this is going to end up bleeding on me and I'm not interested. And if they are not willing to expand and grow in the same ways that you are, that's not your boo. Okay? Deal with stuff of the past before you move into the next. And number 3, I've already hit this, but recommit. Recommit to yourself. This is a recommitment to you. So you want to intentionally cultivate the relationship that you have with the most important person of your world, honey. That is you. There isn't anybody any more important, even if you think it, even if you've given them the title, even if you've placed them in the position, because what you will soon realize is that you are trying to give to them and you will have an empty cup. Your cup has to be full all the time, always, before you go trying to pour into others. So I appreciate that Kelly spent time on focusing on self-care. Self-care is important, but it is not self-love. The stuff I'm talking to you about right now is about self-loving things that you do to cultivate the relationship you have with you. Now, I just started this channel. It's just a few months old, but I've already got a lot of self-love and personal development stuff to help you right where you are. All the stuff I'm talking about right now. There's a whole lot more of this. And I'm putting videos up there so you can see some stuff to go and check out, okay? Now let me wrap this up. A lot of people are looking for the one. Unfortunately, our society and our family and constructs have taught us that we're somehow incomplete unless we're with somebody. And it's why it is so important for you to really establish who you are and what's important to you, so that you are not listening to and being governed by what everybody else has wanted for you. That is why most breakups are so difficult, because there's been so much buildup about the one and coming into a relationship with somebody else and somebody else completing you. And I'm telling you, it's time to go back and revisit the premises by which we are operating. You are the one. You don't have to be in search of anybody, honey. Anybody who comes and wants to share your life with you needs to be adding to what you've already created. And if you are looking to bring somebody into your life and you've not already established the greatness that is you, and understand that you don't need anybody else, you are choosing to have somebody else. And until that self-love bank is that full, you're not really ready for a commitment. You're not. Doesn't mean you won't do it. And it doesn't mean you won't learn from them. But the biggest lessons need to be what happens in between. So do not despise your single life. You were born single. So the truth of the matter is, mastering our singleness is really why we're here. Not to get here and get booed up. Okay? I know that they put pressure on and all the things that you're supposed to do as a single person. Yeah, and especially women, you're single, you got to find somebody, you got to procreate, you got to, all these deadlines. Listen, what you got to do is become masterful of who you are. All right? So how do you treat the breakup? Well, what are you doing in between? Because the breakups will be a lot easier, honey, if what you do in between is building you up to the point that they are optional. Yeah, they're optional. They ought to always be optional. I don't care who you are, male, female, it don't matter who I'm talking to. Anybody else that you bring into your life. If they're coming, then you need to mutually benefit each other. If at any point that is not the case, then you need to be able to stand on your own and know that using these three things, these 3 R's, then you will be able to find the levels of stability that you need in order to live a happy, sound, successful, vibrant, good life. Because, honey, good love is about the kind of love you have with self first. And then making sure that the other person has that good love with themselves too. And then when you come together, you can have something that is healthy. And if it becomes unhealthy or you decide you don't want it anymore, that will be okay. Doesn't mean it won't have your moments of sadness, but you'll use these 3 R's and you'll be all right. Again, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like, comment, share, engage. Turn on those notification bells too. I think it's just one. Is it many? Y'all hear all that thunder? Ooh, Panama is cutting up. Y'all, I'm coming to you from Panama. Yes, I am. Anyway, it's your life. Choose it just as it is. Own it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Change it. As long as you can breathe and learn, ooh, it can get better. Bye for now. From Panama.